you very much. We'll open up for questions. Let me start from bottom up, just because it's much easier. But otherwise, Rhea, if you can repost questions as I deal with them, so that we don't miss out on anything. All right, thank you. So can sugar-free tablets be taken with tea during fasting phase? So this is a very good question. Thanks, Prabal. Sugar-free is one of those things which has been promoted because it's sugar-free and therefore 0 calories. And so people who used to take a lot of sugar, now by taking less sugar, they are obviously restricting their calorie intake. But physiologically, unfortunately, these things don't work in the sense that most of these agents trigger exactly the same response as insulin does. So what I mean to say is, if you're taking sugar-free, you will still get the same hyperinsulinemia response as you were if you were taking sugar. So the benefit you're getting is that you're not taking calories in the form of sugar, but what you're losing out on is the lowering of insulin levels, which will put you into fat burning mode. And therefore what happens then is you don't get the same benefit. So if possible, get rid of sugar-free or any other substitute, stevia and all those things. But remember that this is a journey. I'm not saying you have to do this from tomorrow. Just like smoking or anything else, some people say, I'll start from tomorrow and I like to go cold turkey. There are others who say, I'm going to give myself 2 weeks, 1 month to reach where I want to be. All those methods are valid. So you might go from 1 spoon of sugar to half spoon and then 0. You might go from sugar to stevia to 0. You might go from sugar to sugar-free to 0. Whichever way you want to go is absolutely fine. Set a plan and go to that place. One of the biggest challenges, of course, is motivation and help and support. And that's where we come in. So one of the things we do, again, full disclosure, one of the things we do with the 30 odd people I've talked about is guide them through this process. It's almost like mentoring, coaching, day-to-day feedback on how they're doing. Some people prefer not day-to-day. They might do a weekly feedback or a monthly feedback, whichever way it wants, because at some point we tend to lose motivation and we tend to sort of feel that I'm a failure, I can't do this anymore, and so on. So that does happen. Right. Does metformin add to the benefit? I know it is an insulin sensitizer. Does it help? Very interesting question, Ajit sir. Yes, metformin is an insulin sensitizer. In fact, it's also been shown to be life prolonging. So there are a lot of people who are now talking about anti-aging benefits of metformin. People who are on metformin tend to live longer, and the prevalence of cancer is slightly lower in patients with insulin. Patients with metformin. So a lot of people don't go off metformin. I'm one of them. I've decided not to go off my metformin. I've decided to stay on it for that reason. What about polycystic ovarian syndrome? Yes, it works beautifully, and I've seen it on some of the people I've looked after also. The underlying mechanism in polycystic ovarian syndrome is hyperinsulinemia, so intermittent fasting really helps from that point of view. Is it okay to take kadha with jaggery during COVID times and while doing fasting? Also coconut water. That is a very interesting question. If there is any form of sugar, as in carbohydrate, then insulin will rise and effectively your fast is broken, right? So I would say gradually come off those things. Coconut water is probably all right, but if you're buying commercial coconut water, some of them have sweetness. And so be very, very careful of what you're getting. If you buy a coconut and extract coconut water, that's probably okay. But don't buy commercial, because I have noticed that they have sugar in them. Screen sharing can be switched off. Actually, that's a very good point. I will do that. And we can go to speaker view. Thank you. Right. Does metformin help? Polycystic ovarian. What is the reason for dropping blood sugar level below 60 or 70? So if your blood sugar is dropping below 60 or 70, then I suspect it's probably because either you're on a type of medication that might be doing that, or there's something else which might need more blood tests. or there might be other medical reasons why that might be happening. Um, but if you are not having any other problems, low blood sugar should not be a problem. Does it reduce, so controlling, yes. So target organ damage and diabetes. So there are good studies to show that just by controlling blood sugar or controlling HbA1c, we can definitely reduce the incidence of diabetic nephropathy, which is kidney failure. But all the other complications don't really have a major impact, even if you control HbA1c, because the problems continue to get worse. And so the best way to not have diabetic complications is not to have diabetes, right? And so if you can cure your diabetes, then there's no risk of diabetes-related heart disease, diabetes-related strokes, or diabetes-related eye problems, and so on. And so yes, that is exactly what it is. At the same rate, we don't know, because all this is so new, there's not enough evidence for it, or the number of studies are not as big. If you think about it, this is my cynical view. One of the reasons there are not enough big studies is because there is no drug to sell. So there is no money to be made. And so sponsoring such trials is much more difficult because there is nothing else at the end of that. And there are good studies to show that drugs that are sponsored by someone tend to achieve results much better, and then they tend to get published much more. Any food or drink that you can have during fasting period, like protein shakes. So I would say during the fasting phase, remain true to fasting. And that's why I keep bringing you back to insulin. If you take something that will spike your insulin, do not take it, which effectively means strictly stay with water, black tea, black coffee, green tea, all without sugar or milk or sugar. And then salty nimbu pani, I find, is really good. It keeps you going really, really well. And stick with that. As soon as you break your fast, you can break your fast with fat and protein, no problem. In fact, towards the end of your fast, exercise, and then go and have your protein shake. So you've exercised and broken all your muscle fibers. Now regenerate them with a good protein load, and you'll be full of young muscle. And that's the best way to remain young. Longer your fast versus your acidity, heartburn. Aha. Yes. So as you probably know, the commonest cause for acidity, reflux, heartburn is actually abdominal pressure on organs, which then causes this dysfunction and so on. So in fact, losing abdominal fat, which is a common Indian problem, we are blessed with genes which give us abdominal obesity. So with intermittent fasting, you reduce intra-abdominal fat. The pressure on the abdomen, especially stomach and esophagus, goes down. So over a period of time, actually reflux and acidity goes down. Initially, if you need anti-acid, just take it. If you need PPIs, just take it. No problem. But you'll find that slowly your need will go down and it will actually get better over time. If it's persisting, of course, remember that there might be genuinely an underlying problem. And again, for that, best is to be seen by a local doctor. If you have any red flag signs for peptic ulcer disease or anything more serious, it should be investigated and treated. But if nothing of that sort, then initial symptomatic treatment, but with reduction in abdominal fat, things will get better. I mean, my biggest win, I would say, was loss of abdominal fat. So I lost about 15% of my body weight, but I lost about 4 or so inches from my waist. I had to buy new clothes. And of course, diabetes went away. Can you cure diabetes? Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. Type 2 diabetes can be cured. There are very good studies to show. I can share with you data. So extreme weight loss, extreme as in 15 kilos or 15% of your body weight, you lose it, you have a 50% chance of complete remission. Now we have a definition of remission. Remission is HbA1c less than 6.5 for 1 year without medication is called remission. And you can go into remission. 50% will go off. All diabetic medication will go in remission. Another 25% will have reduction in their medication requirement, but might need something. And only in 25% you don't get any sort of remission, but majority will. And it's all to do with the fatty liver and the fatty pancreas. So just by way of an interesting fact, people, again, this is probably a bit too technical for doctors, but if you think about all the people who undergo bariatric surgery, even before they lose weight, their diabetes goes away. And again, there are good studies to show this. This is because as soon as they have bariatric surgery, they cannot eat. So their insulin levels drop and the abdominal fat just melts because there's no insulin. Abdominal fat just melts and they lose abdominal fat. You need to lose only 0.6 grams of fat from your pancreas to become insulin sensitive again. That's all. It's beautiful. It's amazing. Every organ in the body, when you work it harder, it becomes bigger and stronger. So how come we were taught this concept of pancreatic exhaustion? How come one organ in the body gets exhausted and our diabetes will keep getting worse, but every other organ, when you exercise it, it gets better, right? It's a complete myth. It's because of intrapancreatic fat. Once the fat goes away, diabetes gets better. Using fasting makes me severe headache. I've just talked about that, Priyanka. If you need pain medication for headaches, take it, but persist. Most important thing is lots of fluids, salt, tea, coffee, whatever you like. After 2 to 3 days, the headaches will start going away. And the biggest mistake you'll make is take sweet stuff, because it will make your headache go away because ketones have gone. But if you persist, you will get benefit. Think of it like any other addiction. It's just that the whole world is addicted to sugar at the moment. As soon as you get rid of the sugar addiction, your body will adapt. And sometimes it can take up to 2 weeks for any addiction to go away, but you will find amazing benefits at that point. Why some do not gain weight in spite of carb intake? Yeah, Rakesh, some people have brilliant genes, you know. That's why I said I started with why me, because I thought, well, why does it happen? Some of us were just blessed with better genes and they can get away with it. But more seriously, so there is a school of thought that is coming around which talks about our personal fat allowance. So you might have seen some people are grossly overweight, but don't have diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. Others have. And we know part of that is because abdominal fat is metabolically active and causes all the problems, whereas skin fat does not seem to have the same metabolic hormonal problems. So this concept of personal fat allowance is developing. It's not crystal clear, it's a concept. But it is that all of us have a personal fat allowance. Roughly our weight when we were 18 years old is thought to be our personal fat allowance. And the more weight you gain after that, you become more and more insulin resistant. So if you go back to roughly that weight, which is about 15 kilos, then you can reverse hypertension, diabetes, polycystic ovarian disease, you name it, it can be reversed. Yes, so will it work in them? Yes. So they'll derive all the other benefits of intermittent fasting, like live longer, cancer-free, better skin, younger feeling. My joint pains have all gone. I can go up and down the stairs much better now. I can do more exercise. So all those things, physically, I'm way, way better now than I was. Some people say I look younger than I used to. I'll take that as a compliment, whether it's true or not. But I definitely feel from the inside that my body is younger than it was 2 years ago, no doubt about it. I'm just going to run through other questions. Any advice for runners? So Gayatri, yes, like I was saying, exercising in a fasting state is way better. So again, if you think about it, traditionally we used to go for a walk in the morning, first thing in the morning. We used to go for a run first thing in the morning. In school or whatever, we used to do PT first thing in the morning. Those of my friends who are from military background, again, all the exercise we did was first thing in the morning. Exercising in fasting state is the best thing to do. Our muscle, just like our liver has about 150 grams of sugar as glycogen, our muscle has about 450 to 500 grams of sugar. This is for the sprint run, right? So in the forest, we were chased by a tiger. We had to run very fast. So for sprint running, we had this sugar reserve in our body, right? And so you'll find bodybuilders will always say you should eat carbohydrates because that's what gives bulk to the muscle because of that sugar that's stored in our muscle. This sugar cannot be used in any other part of the body. So glycogen from liver can be mobilized anywhere in the body, but glycogen from muscle remains in muscle. So if you exercise in a fasting state, you'll deplete all that sugar and you will get much more benefit. And then you eat your protein and fat, eat a lot of fat, good healthy fat, and you will get amazing benefits when you're running. If you can't do that, of course, sorry. So exercise and running, you'll find that when you finish your exercise, you feel really hungry, you feel good, you want to eat a lot, and you end up eating more than you exercised. Part of that is not due to hunger. It's our body giving us a signal that we are actually depleted in salt and water. So always before exercise, pre-hydrate. About an hour before you are either going to the gym or going for a run, have enough water, maybe a little bit of salt. During exercise, have sips of water. Now you'll find that the end of exercise, that hunger feeling will not come through, because it was disguised salt and water depletion, not actually calorie deficit. Okay, and you'll get more and more benefit that way. And break your fast with fats. So things like nuts, butter, cheese, olive oil, ghee, coconut oil, whatever you like. I love coconut oil. We use a lot of ghee and coconut oil now. Although I'm from the north, I hardly used coconut oil before. Now we use a lot and we really enjoy it. It's a very good medium to use to cook. So for cooking, we use ghee and coconut oil, and for eggs and all, butter. I stopped taking butter in 1990 when my father died of a heart attack. And 2019, I started eating butter again, and I've lost weight and I've controlled all the diseases I had. So good fats are good. And for putting on top of things like salads, use olive oil. 2 spoons comes at least. Use fat as what some people call gangajal. So if any food doesn't look right, make it better by adding 2 spoons of ghee to it, or 2 spoons of something else which is fatty, because then your ratio of carbohydrate to fat becomes better, and you'll continue to be in fat burning system much longer. And that's the key to that. Is it safe for women? Yes, absolutely. But there are some studies to show that the dramatic benefits that men get from intermittent fasting are not as dramatic in women. But you should still do it. You will get all the benefits. You may not see immediate weight loss. So most men will lose 1 to 2 kilos in the first 2 weeks. They might lose an inch on their waist. And most patients with diabetes will find that in 2 to 3 weeks, their blood sugar levels start getting better. Like I was saying, one of my relatives, he was on insulin for 25 years. He came off his insulin within 3 days, and he was on like 25 units a day. He came off his insulin within 3 days of starting intermittent fasting. It's that powerful. But in women, it's slightly slower, but it will work. Absolutely, it will work. What is intermittent fasting? I hope that is clarified now. What we are trying to do is disrupt the feeding fasting cycle. So as long as we interrupt our feeding cycles, we achieve amazing metabolic benefits. The word to remember in intermittent fasting is intermittent. It should remain intermittent. Every day, if possible, should be different. So some days you might skip breakfast, some days skip lunch, some days skip dinner. Doesn't matter. Once or twice a week, don't follow any rules, eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want, because we want to keep it intermittent. We want to keep the body thinking that nothing has changed, remain in high energy mode while we are giving it food and nutrition in a different way. I've not told you to eat less. Do not eat less, because if you eat less, you will go into low energy mode. You're just eating the same food in a narrow window. That's all. There is nothing about dieting in here. You don't have to deprive yourself of anything, especially if you don't have any medical problems. If you're just doing this for health reasons, eat exactly what you were eating, just in an 8-hour window. That's all. Don't change anything. It's very difficult to eat 3 meals in 1 meal. So automatically you'll find you're eating less, but don't feel that you're depriving yourself of anything. Do not deprive yourself. That is not the reason you're doing this. Okay. Can you elaborate on cheat day? Yeah, cheat day is basically do whatever you want, right? So you can have 3 meals a day. You don't have to have 16-hour fasting. You don't have to be in low carbohydrate system. So basically anything and everything you want to do that you felt, it's been 5 days, I haven't done this, do it on your cheat day. Absolutely no problem. Are we worsening type 2 diabetes by giving insulin hypoglycemic medicine? Yes, we are. Sadly, yes, we are. Does it impact any drug doses for? Yes. So Rakesh, other medications, so there are good studies to show, well, association, not causation of some gallstone disease. Thyroid levels can change, but that's something to do with protein binding and so on. So there's no robust evidence, and some people find TSH levels are slightly lower or higher, or T4 levels are lower or higher, but it's thought to be due to protein binding. So yes, so you might find that you might have to adjust other medications. but mainly you'll find you're needing less and less medicine compared to what you were needing before. What about fenugreek? Scientifically speaking, there is no strong evidence about this. I know a lot of people do this, as are many other things. So cinnamon, dalchini, kali mirch, fenugreek. There are a lot of these items which are supposed to be glucose lowering. Some of them are, and nothing wrong in trying all those things. Absolutely fine. Like I said, I'm not against anything. Even my clinical practice, I say, if it works for you, it's your medicine, continue. I will work with you to achieve the results you want to achieve. I'm not very strict about, you have to follow my way, otherwise you have to get out of the room. I don't believe in that. What about other medication like ticagrelor? As far as I'm aware, there's no study around specific antiplatelet agents. At the moment, I would say continue to take all the medications you are on. This is an addition. So obviously it's attacking a different pathway, as you know. You're sort of attacking your platelet stickability there. Whereas here, by reducing your insulin resistance, you're improving your whole lipid metabolism, which obviously is a very useful thing as far as coronary artery disease is concerned, or any part of atherosclerosis is concerned. It will get better. What about vitamins? So vitamins I'm not so worried about, because most of them have no nutritional value. So you can take it during your fasting cycle also, but best to keep all your medicines in your feeding cycle, in your feeding window. So for example, I have this cod liver oil type thing, the 7 C's. So that, because it has oil and all that, I'll take it with my meal. Whereas my B complex, I'll take on an empty stomach. Vitamins usually are taken on empty stomach, so you can take that. No side effects on fasting. No, as far as I'm aware, there is no study on changing in the coagulation profile with fasting. If anything, it would improve the stickiness of cells, I would think. But I'm not aware of any studies on specifically on coagulation profiles. Is 16-hour minimum? Yes, absolutely. The minimum, that J-shaped curve, the log curve of insulin, the turning point is 16 hours. So the aim is to get to 16, but it might take you 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get to 16. If at the moment it's, I don't know, 10 hours, let's say, make it 10 and a half hours, then 11 hours, then 11 and a half. Eventually you'll get there. The point is we are changing our lifestyle for the rest of our life. It doesn't have to be enforced on us. We should do it the way we want it, right? GI side effects, like I said, the commonest is constipation. If you're getting any sort of acidity, heartburn, take symptomatic treatment. It will go away. As abdominal obesity will go down, heartburn will go away, not to worry about that. Yes, brilliant, Madhukar. Eat fat to lose fat, absolutely true. The more fat you eat, because fat controls hunger, you stop feeling hungry, right? So that's what I do. When I was planning my 48-hour fast, that's basically what I did. You've seen some of the pictures. So I'll have a four egg omelet with one big slice of fish. And you can imagine how much fat that is. The egg is cooked in butter and there's cheese all over it. So I've had about 2,000 calories in one meal, which is just basically protein and fat. And then you won't feel hungry for hours and hours and hours. You just keep going. No worries at all. Yes, you always knew. Actually, when we were young, that's what was happening. And then people told us fat was bad. It's not. Actually, healthy fats are good. Just avoid all the processed fat. All the safolas have to go, right? All canola, safola, whatever it is, has to go. They're highly refined, full of trans fat. Abolish all those fats. Just go back to what your mother used to have: ghee and mustard oil, sarson ka tel, coconut oil, and for topping, olive oil. That's it. And butter. Butter is brilliant. It's really good. And then hard cheese, like Amul cheese, is a good thing to have. When you feel like having a snack, take your akroad, badam, these kind of things, just toss it in a bit of ghee, salt and pepper. Brilliant snack. 30 to 40% protein, 50 to 60% fat, very little carbohydrate. Perfect thing to have for vegetarians. Peanuts are not nuts. Peanuts grow underground. So don't confuse peanuts with nuts. But all the other nuts are excellent. Have good use of that. Omega-6 should be avoided. Absolutely true. So imagine We know rice has like 2% fat, right? And 70–80% carbohydrate. Imagine what machine you have to put rice through to create oil out of rice. It's just machine oil, right? Do not use these highly processed oils. They will make us sick. And we know trans fats are very well known to mess up our metabolism in a very, very sort of bad way. So don't do that. Do you have recipes on Facebook? Sorry, not yet. We are just starting, but I do post all these pictures of interesting foods. And again, when we go on holidays and things like that, we post pictures of what foods you can eat while on holidays, still have fun. But you're most welcome to come and share your pictures also on it. Why is that many people eat a lot of carbohydrates but don't gain weight? I think I've covered that. No weight loss since 1 year. Please advise why. And so yes, so I think I've covered that. If you've hit a plateau, that's simply because your body's got used to this low energy system. You need to shake it up, right? And intermittent fasting is the best way to shake it up. Is it okay to have paneer and chicken every day? Absolutely right. The important thing to remember is our daily protein requirement is roughly 1 gram per kg body weight. So an average 60 kg person needs about 60 grams of protein. If you eat more protein, so when people think about I'll have a protein shake, it's not that that protein is going to help us. The body has no way of storing protein. The only protein we have is in our muscles. So if you're eating more protein, it will be converted into fat and stored. And as I showed you on the chart, insulin, if you eat a lot of protein, insulin will still rise and it will promote fat retention in the body. So we should have protein, healthy proteins. So you like tofu, you like paneer, you like your seeds if you're a vegetarian, you know, your soya or rajma or those type of things. Eat those, but don't sort of make it the main source of your energy for the day. Make sure that majority of your energy comes from actually fats, healthy fats, because they're so calorie dense. You don't have to eat a lot of that, right? And you can get a lot. So like I said, top everything with ghee, put cheese, put butter, olive oil, whatever works for you, add that. Eat lots of fresh vegetables and so on with olive oil. Have good proteins, keep your carbohydrates to minimum. So your main carbohydrates are coming from complex carbohydrates, which is fiber, from all the fresh fruit and fresh food and vegetables that you're having. So you can have cooked vegetables like beans and all that, or fresh like salads, like I showed you. Have all of those. Top it up with olive oil, put some cheese into that, put nuts into that, make it nice and tasty, and have that, right? I'm sure somebody must have asked about fruits, so let me clarify if I missed that question. Avoid very sweet fruits because again, although fruit is fructose, not technically glucose, but fructose is directly, it's not triggered by insulin. So fructose goes directly and creates fatty liver. So this fruit-based diets actually are not a good idea. You can get all the benefits of fruit from vegetables without having the sugar load, right? And if you have to have fruits, go for the low sugar fruits like kharbuja, watermelon, amrud, some of the berries, and avoid things like mangoes and so on. I know it's mango season. I'm also having mangoes, but keep it low, right? Not too many mangoes, right? Do you have any paneer every day? Acidity. Okay. I might have answered all the questions. Which are the good cooking oils for Indian cooking in order of preference? So firstly, cooking oils, abolish all refined oils, all saffrola and everything. For cooking, stick to what your grandmother probably did, which was ghee and sarson ka tel or mustard oil or coconut oil. If you're making things like eggs and so on, you can use butter and coconut oil. We have become great fans of coconut oil. We use a lot of that. All the other oils, avoid. If you are very sold on what's it called, meetha tel or peanut oil, then maybe a little bit of that, but don't use commercial versions of highly refined processed oils. They again have too much trans fat in it, and that is not good. Commercial ghee is fine. Yeah, we also, I mean, we have no choice. In this country, we have to buy it in a tin. So we're using commercial ghee, but it's desi ghee, so that's perfect, right? Basically, whenever you buy something, read the label. And if it says what is the percentage of carbohydrates, the lower the carbohydrate percentage, the better. If it says low fat, do not buy it, right? Just ban everything from that point of view, and buy everything which says, natural, healthy, not processed, no additives. Just eat those things. Yeah, cold pressed oils are available, but remember that even if they are cold pressed, they should be from sources which actually make oil. So like coconut oil, we know if you press coconut oil comes out. You don't need a machine to do. I mean, you need a machine, but you don't need a factory to do that. So cold pressed or hot pressed or whatever, if it's a natural oil, that's fine. Whereas a lot of these which are being sold these days as low cholesterol, they're just rubbish. Absolutely not to buy. Nuts are really good. Peanuts are not good. Yes, peanuts are not nuts. They have about 20 to 40% carbohydrate. I mean, peanuts are basically roots, right? They're starch for storage. So peanuts are not great. But again, if you love peanuts, toss it in ghee, fry them up. So you've got a fair amount of fat in it. So your percentage of carbohydrates come down, and then you use it on a cheat day as a treat. So always keep treats handy. Chocolates, nobody has asked about chocolates. Dark chocolate is absolutely fine. Avoid milk chocolate because milk has a lot of carbohydrate. So stick to dark chocolate, no problems, especially if it's with nuts, you can absolutely have it. So no restriction. So don't buy fruit and nut because that has, in the name of fruit, it has kishmish or raisins. Any dried fruit is highly concentrated in sugar. So avoid those. If you have to have fruit, have fresh fruit. Because at least you're getting fiber in it and you're getting some vitamins and so on. But apart from that, stick to all the good things you can get from fruit, you can get from vegetables, and vegetables are way cheaper. Whatever is in the season, just buy and use it. That's all. One of the benefits is, of course, you'll find that your grocery bill goes down. And for people who like to cook or don't like to cook, you find the amount of time you have to spend in the kitchen is less because you don't have to do the buying, you don't have to do the cutting. Then cooking, cleaning goes down because you're not having to make 3 meals or 3.5 meals every day. So you have more time, you can get more stuff done, and all the boring things don't have to be done. So it's a definite benefit. Can you give a diet chart? I could one-to-one. Like I said, I don't believe that it's a diet. So I would say that's fine. But yes, if there are any specific questions, I'm happy to deal with that one-to-one. So yes, Mahesh, I can send you one. Just send me a WhatsApp message. I'll send you some do's and don'ts about diet. But like I said, there is no real diet as such. It's the key thing is it's a time window based eating rather than diet. There's no real diet. Should one stop taking milk? Yes. Milk is again one of those things. Again, we grew up like that in India. But think about this. Humans are the only animal that drink another animal's milk. No other animal in the world does that. Humans are the only animal who drink milk as an adult. No other animal does that. Now, there is some scientific reason for that because if you're a pure vegetarian, there are some things like vitamin B12 that only come from animals. And so you could see why Indians used to drink milk because we were predominantly vegetarians. And if we don't have milk, we won't get B12. But these days you can take supplements and most people are on some sort of supplements. So that's not a problem. But secondly, there's no restriction on things like butter and cheese and ghee. The only difference is that butter and cheese have much higher levels of fat and much lower levels of carbohydrate. Whereas in milk, you're getting too many carbohydrates basically. So if you are absolutely sold on milk, then buy full fat milk. Again, ban low fat milk, but slowly try and reduce the amount of the amount of milk you're drinking. If you want, move to almond milk because that's almost full fat, right? Almond is about 40 to 60% fat. Move to almond milk if you feel you need to have milk in your tea Or if you want something else in your tea, put cream. Cream again is very high in fat. So put malai in your tea if you feel you need to put something in there rather than putting milk. Diet Coke, absolute no-no. So that's why people who take diet drinks don't lose weight, because although it's 0 calories, the ingredients that give you that taste and flavor of 0 calories, it triggers the same insulin pathway. So hyperinsulinemia persists, and therefore they don't go into fat burning system. They don't burn fat, and all the side effects of hyperinsulinemia and insulin resistance still maintain, and it doesn't work. So diet drinks are absolutely rubbish. Soya milk, yeah, that's a good alternative, but it should be unsweetened. Thank you, Akansha. 0 carbs, high fat, and again, buy the unsweetened soya milk if you can. Yeah, that's probably the best answer. PCOS diet, yeah. So similar thing again, although I try and stay away from 2 words always in my discussion. I don't talk about calories or counting calories. I don't talk about diet because I think as soon as we get obsessed with calories and diet, effectively the psychological problem with many of these things is that when you think I'm going on a diet, there is also thinking that when I come off the diet, this is what will happen. So there is this feeling that this is a temporary measure and one day it will stop. But actually, this is a new way of living. And so what works for you is the correct thing, right? And every human body is different. For the same diabetes, one person needs 1 tablet and one person needs 3 tablets, another person needs insulin, right? So there is something inherently different in all of us. And I remember this, I tell my patients, and my father used to tell me, he used to say, you're a doctor in medicine, you're an expert in medicine, but I am an expert in me. I understand how my body works. And that's one thing I always say, you know how your body works. You know when you wake up in the morning that what you ate yesterday did not suit you. Today you're feeling a bit bloated, or today you're feeling a bit tired, or whatever. You know how your body reacts. And that is the best thing to tune into rather than sort of external enforced things, because enforced things tend to fail over a period of time. But for specific help and advice on how to get there, like I said, just get in touch with me separately. I will definitely be very happy to guide you in any way I can. But I don't want to give any generic advice. Yogurt, yeah, yogurt or curd, full fat yogurt or curd, because of the the bacterial benefits we get from yogurt, gut microbiome. I have not touched on that. But if you do fecal transplant from people without diabetes into people with diabetes, diabetes goes away. So the good bacteria in our gut are really, really important. And yogurt is really good from that point of view. But again, do not make low fat yogurt. Eat full fat yogurt. That's very, very important, or curd. Alcohol in moderation, yes, very true. Just avoid carbohydrate rich alcohol. So no beer, cider, lagers, all those things. Stick to hard liquor, no restriction, absolutely no restriction. One of my cousins, I think he's now left. The one reason he agreed to join this system, this was in November, was because I said, you don't have to stop drinking. He enjoys his drink. He's come off all his diabetes medications. He's lost about 10 kilos of weight. He's about 60 plus now. And he and his wife are absolutely all medication free. So yeah, no restriction on alcohol. Do you mean to say that one should switch over from only one meal in 24 hours and take during the day? Amia, if you're saying you are taking one meal a day, that's really good. Absolutely perfect. Just make sure it's not the same time of the day every day. So if you're focused on, let's say, dinner every day, try and make sure your dinner on some days is half an 1 hour early or half an 1 hour late, so that that cycle is broken. And then at least once a week, depending again on what health conditions you might have, once or twice a week, have 2 meals, have 3 meals, or go for a longer fast. So there are regimens for alternate day fasting. So you can do a 48-hour fast, there are 36-hour fasts and things like that. So when I do a 36-hour fast, what I'll do is I'll have lunch one day. So I've had one meal on that day, and I'll skip dinner. And then the next day I'll have dinner, right? So it's 36 hours, but actually I've had one meal every day. And the next day I'll have lunch again, which is about 16, 18 hours. Then I'll have dinner the next day, right? So the body remains in confused state, but you're still eating one big meal. And like I said, when I eat, you've seen the pictures, I eat like a horse, right? I'll still eat my 2000 calories. I'll just eat it in one go, right? And that's that. There are different fasting schedules, for example, 12. So yes, so some people are following these 12-hour fasting schedules, and it's good to change them. Like I said, I don't believe 12 hours works in the metabolic sense. So the only benefit one gets from 12 hours of fasting is because you're eating fewer meals, the amount of calorie you have taken in that cycle is lesser. So initially you will get some benefit from 12 hours of fasting, but very soon you will hit a plateau. But if you went to a 16-hour fasting cycle, then you will continue to get benefits because you have derived the benefit of that J curve of insulin. But in 12 hours, you don't hit the J curve of insulin. So that's why 12 hours doesn't work in the long term. It's not a sustainable plan. No. I think I've answered all the questions. Is there any other question? If there is, just please type it again. I think I've covered all of them. I'm really happy that there were a lot of questions. I think there was that worry. Sorry, Srila, I missed yours. Practicing fasting with, you said with my guidance, lost weight, improved tone. Yes, of course. You're one of my star, what should I say, friend, client. No health problems, despite that doing really well. And of course, your husband, he looks at least 10 years younger now. One day we'll post his pictures. He's done really, really well. And of course, his health issues have also gone away. To exercise in fasting state is always more beneficial. Absolutely, Madhukar, I totally agree with you. Thanks, Atul. Speak to you later. Low carb versus fasting. Yeah. So this question around low carb versus fasting is a very interesting one. Both have their benefits. And what I tend to do is I like to tailor make it to the person who's come to me. And so, like I said, my sister's mother-in-law, her main target was she didn't want to take insulin after taking it for 30 years. But she also didn't want to, skip any meals. So she wanted 3 meals a day, but no insulin. But she was willing to modify her diet. So in her, I chose a low carb method and slightly restricted her time window to almost 8 hours. And we were able to get her off insulin. Whereas there are other people who prefer to eat everything. So they don't want to go low carb, but they would rather just fast and then eat when they can. So that's why I don't use the term feeding window. I call it a feasting window, because that's really what you should be doing. Yeah, when you eat, you should eat for fun. You should really enjoy your food. There should be no holding back, especially if there is no serious health problem. You should basically eat whatever you eat. You're just eating in a smaller window, that's all. 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. So that is 8 hours. Yeah, absolutely fine, Harsh. That would be perfect. I know you're a sort of fitness enthusiast. So if you're going to the gym, finish your fast in the gym with exercise, come home, have your protein shake, have a high fat meal. So what I tend to do is before I sit down for dinner, I'll have a bowl of nuts with 2 spoons of olive oil, some salt and pepper. I'll eat that and then I'll eat my meal. So my body still remains in fat burning, even though I'm about to eat my meal. I'm still in fat burning because I've just given my body lots of fat. I've not given it enough to trigger my insulin. So I'll continue to burn fat. Variation in timing is quite true. That once you give yourself 1 or 2 days of cheating, you're anyway giving variation. But if you change your time of gym, for example, or the time of day you exercise, that's even better. Old age above 80. like I said, so my oldest client, friend, whatever you want to call them, is 86 years old. My eldest uncle, who's come off his insulin, he is 88 or 89 years old. So I don't think there's an age restriction. Uh, uh, Once you've understood the person, their physiology, what works for them, their lifestyle, and their cooperation, it might take slightly longer, but it works. It's a very powerful system. Yeah, I'm fortunate that my eldest um, patient client, my uncle, he's also a doctor, so he was fully committed to this. He understood the science and he said, "Yeah, let's do it." And he's been insulin free for about 8 to 10 months now. Um, he has mild kidney disease, mild hypertension, that's controlled. There was a doubt that he might have heart disease. He's ex-military, so he had his full checkup in Army hospital. Thankfully, no serious problems, and he's going strong. In fact, again, his physical abilities have got better. Um, Thank you, Mahesh. Yeah, definitely happy to follow up on WhatsApp. Exercise and fasting. Yeah, I think I've covered all the questions. Right. If there is any more question, please feel free to ask. I'm really grateful and thankful for everybody who's still here. I know it's quite late in the evening, and especially a Saturday. Some of my friends told me Saturday evening is probably not the best. I've taken you away from all the fun you would be having at this time. So thank you for sticking with me. I hope you enjoyed it. And like I said, if you want to, you have our WhatsApp numbers. Feel free to get in touch with us. We can organize one-to-one sessions for anyone who needs that. Especially if you have health problems, definitely do it under supervision of some sort. Go back to your doctor or speak to me. We can organize that. Otherwise, all the very best. Feel free to join us on the Facebook group or send us a message. If it's some sort of generic help or support or advice, I'm quite happy to do that also. Okay, let me just quickly check. So as per the plan, we still have 6 minutes left. So feel free to ask me any more questions if you have, or tell us about your experiences. I'm really happy and thankful to some of my friends who've told their stories here. They were like my guinea pigs in some ways. they had faith in me and they took part in this process with me. And I'm so happy that they've come out of it with lots of benefits. So like I said, 50% of them diabetes, others non-diabetics, whether it was weight, physical fitness, just being healthier and younger, polycystic problems, other health issues, and a couple of people with more serious problems, like I said, cancer, chemotherapy, all those type of things. Obviously, we can't cure them, but we can make their internal resilience much stronger so that they can tolerate treatment much better, mentally and physically, feeling better. And for the younger people, they find in the workplace, their productivity is better, their problem-solving skills is better, their team working is better. And so all those things. Oh yeah, thank you, Nandini. Another one of my great friends and relatives. We have a running joke. She's just a few months younger than me, but I call her Didi and she calls me Dada. And her plantar fasciitis has gone away. So like I was saying, a lot of benefits in rheumatological diseases. And Abhinash, thank you, another great friend of mine. You should see his pictures. I hope one day he'll be willing to share them. He's lost 25 kilos. He looks, again, he's got much better hair than me. He looks much better. He looks really young. It's amazing transformation for him also. And I think it feels really good, especially when you've hit 50 and you think, okay, everything is downhill from here. It can't get any better. And you find, no, actually, the body has amazing powers of recovery. We just don't know. And if doctors like me did not know, non-doctors were kept in the dark for too long. And that's my mission, largely speaking. I feel even though I'm sitting in a different country, there is so much I can contribute to sort of spread the knowledge and gain benefits from it. Especially with the way food and lifestyles are changing, what is being put into our food is horrible. And so without even realizing, we are becoming unhealthy. Even when we are trying to be healthy, we are ending up being unhealthy and then ending up with diseases which cost so much, both in terms of time, money, physical fitness, distress, stress and strain. It's not good. So yes, thank you to everyone who's been with me in the last sort of 1 year or so. Thank you, Anukriti. Yes, one of our young soldiers. Yeah, I think I get more energy with the younger people because of their enthusiasm and their interest and all that. I feel young with them. There's another nephew of mine. He's lost, I think, about 25 kilos of weight. Sadly, he was diabetic. His diabetes is gone completely. His HbA1c is like 5.5 now. So he's truly cured. It's amazing how well it works. And of course, if you think about the lifetime distress of diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, number one, the cost of visiting your doctor, medicines you have to buy, blood tests that have to be done, all the things that take away joy of life, and the feeling of powerlessness that you have to give up. This is a lifelong disease. It will keep getting worse, and one day it will kill you. Is effectively a very slow death sentence, but it doesn't have to be that way. All these are reversible, and there's good scientific evidence for it now. We just have to understand how our body works and use it to our benefit. That is probably the best thing for it. Excellent. Thank you, guys. And thank you to my dear friends and family who've sort of told about their own experiences. It's very nice to see that. As we come to the 2-hour mark, I'm happy to switch off and wish you all the very best. If there are any last minute contributions, I'll wait for that. And then in about a minute or so, I'll close the session. Thank you very much. It's great talking to you. Our next session is on 24th of June, which is Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. So if you have any family or friends who would like to join, just send us a message. We'll send them the link, or you can forward the link. Of course, the Zoom link will be different for that day. And once people have shown their interest, we can share that link for 24th. Hopefully, I mean, obviously I have to see this with the COVID situation and when I'm on call and so on, but hopefully I'll come up with a plan where I try and do at least one session a week. So keep in touch if you want to. If you know someone who's interested, we will be announcing more dates. And I'm really more enthused now with the response I've got, almost 100 questions. I feel this has been really, really useful. It's a good use of time. And I will come up with a plan where at least once a week, we try and do this 2-hour session, 1 hour of speaking and 1 hour of discussion to answer your questions. There are a lot of myths out there which need to be clarified. And I think in a standard consultation, there is not enough time to go through these things. In fact, even with patients, I don't do 10 minutes of consultation, I do 30 minutes for exactly that reason, because just to understand takes longer than 10 minutes. So if you want to have a longer one-to-one session, I will let you know about what my charges are, but I tend to deduct what you've already paid. So if you want to join another session again, yes, please. I will update my slide set based on today's questions, because I want to make sure that the information I give you is what you are looking for, so that then we can generate new questions that we can leave to discussion rather than repeating the same things. So the last presentation I did, today's slide set is an update from the last session, and I will again update in the next session based on what feedback we've received today. So yes, in that sense, if you're asking whether you want to attend the same session next week, it will be slightly different, and yes, we will charge you for that. If you are looking for a one-to-one session, that fees is slightly different, but I tend to give a discount that I'll take away what you've already contributed today from my one-to-one fees, which is more like a doctor consultation. So it's completely different. This is more like an educational session, but I will answer questions here. Whereas there, it's very, very personal, going into your full history, your family history, drug allergies, all the things that your doctor should discuss with you, all those things. And then there will be an ongoing relationship. Like I said, there'll be those charts like I showed you. So for each one that I deal with, all the friends and family here who've been part of this, everybody gets a spreadsheet with all the details mapped out, with a clear plan on how they're going to do it. And then we update the sheet together. Having a chart really helps because it's a good motivator. When you see the chart going in the right direction, it feels good that what I'm doing is working, it motivates. If it's going in the wrong direction, again, that's useful because you think, okay, I know what is not working. So let me work on that to bring it back to normal. It's like anything else. If you wanted to become good in sports, you would have a coach. If you wanted to learn music, you would have a music teacher. It's a similar sort of thing. If it was as simple as take this tablet and get better, in this world, there would be no disease, right? Sadly, tablet-based medicine does not work. I'm not saying it's bad. I practice it. I totally believe in it. But it is much more about curative intervention when that is required. Whereas this is about taking away the risk of having complications, that you need an acute hospital admission, you need an acute procedure. How do we make sure we never reach that stage? We remain so strong from the inside. Our immunity, our health remains so good from the inside that never happens. So that obviously needs ongoing work. And usually what happens in about a month's time, most people understand what is required, and then they just go and do it by themselves. And then they may come back once in 3 months, just an update or any doubts to be clarified and so on. So there's an intensive phase, and then there's a sort of tail end, and then it's as required sort of system. Some people may need up to 3 months also. It just depends. And that's why I don't want to do it in one go, because everybody is different. Every human body is different. Everybody's response to intervention is different. So we'll just take it as it comes. Right. I think we've just gone over 2 hours. So I will close the session now. Thank you very much for sticking around. Thank you to all friends and family who contributed their stories, and all the new people I've become friends with today. Nice to hear your stories, and hopefully what I've told is going to help you in your process. Some of you I hope to see again. Otherwise, all the very best, and hope this lecture helps you to move forward in whatever you're trying to do. All right, thank you, and bye-bye.